Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please click on like and subscribe. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today I'll be upgrading my 10 watt xTool D1 to the 20 watt laser version. As you can see, I've already got a table set up. I've already got the grid. I'm going to reuse these parts here. They're getting kind of worn, but I'm still going to use them. They cost a lot of money. I've still got my air lines and stuff ran through here. I'm still going to use the air assist because it came with the air assist nozzle. And that's my ventilation going to the outside. The step's pretty easy. Basically just take your frame, set it together the way it should be, take the 16 small screws and screw them all in. You should have two screws that are a little bit longer. These are for adjusting the belt tensioners. Do not tighten the belts yet. Basically just put these in, put them in loosely, but do not tighten them or you can damage the belts. Take the shaft and the coupler, slide it onto the shaft. Then insert the shaft into the timing belt and you'll see a bearing inside here. Slide it into the bearing. Now on the other end, you're going to take your coupler, you're going to line it up with the motor, slide the coupler halfway onto the motor, halfway onto the shaft. Now before you tighten these up, make sure you push your rails all the way back so they're even on both sides, and then tighten the Allen screws up. Once you get them tightened, check your travel one more time, slide the rails forward and backwards. They both should go all the way back and all the way forward with no binding. We're going to tension the belt now, so taking the tool that came with it, we're going to put it in here. We're going to go to the side of the machine and we're going to loosen the Allen that is holding the slot right here. That'll let you move it forward and backward and tension the belt properly. Now using the longer screws that we didn't tighten all the way earlier for the belt tensioner, insert your Allen wrench. Look at your tool, there's an alignment point in the middle of the tool. You want to basically tighten this up until it's in between the two lines. That way you know the belt's tensioned properly. Do this on both sides of the unit. Flip your unit over easily, don't drop it. We're just going to stick the legs on here. Now the legs come with several pieces. If you already know how high you want your unit, you can go ahead and put the pieces on there you want. If you don't know, basically just start off with a couple of them, set it up till you get used to using it, figure out what you're going to be actually burning, and then you can figure out how many more legs to put on or how many to take out. I usually put an extra leg or two in here or a section in here, and then I use spoil boards underneath to raise my project up. That way if I've got a thicker project, I don't have to worry about trying to add legs to it later. It's easier for me to just put spoil boards underneath to raise my project up. We're going to take the wire that connects the motor to the motherboard. Make sure when you put these in, you put them in the correct direction. If you look on the top, there's a little tab. Make sure the tab is in the right direction. You don't want to put it on backwards and you don't want to break it. After you get it connected, take a few small zip ties, flip your unit either upside down or on its side like this, and zip tie that wire down. So you've got a little bit of slack on the motor side, a little bit of slack on the motherboard side, but nothing to get caught on in the middle. Snip the tip of your zip ties off, that way they're not sticking out, and turn your unit back over. Take your top rail, plug the motor in. Take the 4 screws that came with it for the sides, and we're going to put our top rail on next, and we're going to line it up on the sides first, start all the screws, and then tighten them up evenly. Now if you run into what we did here, our screws would not line up exactly right. They were off just a little bit, so we had to modify it a little bit. We just took a pair of large pliers, as you can see, squeezed it in gently to align the screws up. Now it wasn't the rod was bent, they were just off a little bit. Do this very carefully. You don't want to damage, you don't want to bend it, since it does do millimeters as far as measurements. If you bend this or break it, your machine's going to be off. So we did this with extra care, and again we're just doing this to line the holes up. If it was bent much more than it was, I would have just sent it back for a replacement. So if you're just really messed up, Don't force these in place. Send it back and get a replacement. So similar to the outside rails, you're going to have a longer bolt here that goes in the end rail here. This is to set the timing on the top belt. So make sure you put this in, but again, we're not going to over tighten it. We're going to have to use our belt tensioner again to align this up so it's proper. Using the same tool we used before for the other belt. Same thing, insert this into the belt and then tighten the screw up properly until the belt lines up dead in the middle of the tool. You'll find a short jumper in there. Once we get that done, we're going to take this and we're going to connect this. This is our Y-axis limit switch wire. It's kind of hard to see in there, but you'll see there's only one place for it to go. The pins are set so you can only put them in one position. Be sure you put them in the right way though. After that, we're going to take the rest of our harnesses and they're color coded. So just line up the colors, plug them in. Again, make sure the tabs go in the correct way. Don't put them in upside down. They should only fit one direction. They should go in pretty easily. If you have to force them, there's something wrong. Start over again. Take your rail, slide it all the way to the back of the machine after your wires are connected. And you want to make sure you've got the most length you can out of this. You don't want this pulling tight because you don't want it to stop your laser from moving. So you want to make sure you got full motion of your arm. Once you get it all the way back, flip your machine over and zip tie it in place. That way the excess is not hanging down and getting in the way. But again, make sure you've got the rail all the way to the back. There should be enough wire to pull it to the side, zip tie it, because you don't want anything to get bound up in there anywhere. Once you put the zip ties on, snip the tips like we did on the last ones. Check and make sure you've got full range of motion. Once your zip ties are in, look at your wires real close. If you see any tension, cut them loose and readjust them so you don't have anything pulling on anywhere. So since this one actually came with the air assist laser attachment, we're going to go ahead and put the air assist on this one because I do have the air assist for my old one. If you didn't have that, you would not need to do this step. But I do highly recommend the air assist if you don't have it. It makes your laser cuts so much cleaner, and it also keeps the small debris from sitting inside the project while the laser is burning. Once you have the adapter put in and it's facing up towards the little loop on the top of the laser, that's where you feed your tube down through to keep it from getting in the way. Plug in your wiring harness. This again, just like the other wiring harness, only goes in one way. Once you slide it in there, put the wire in the little metal clip in the back to keep it from getting caught, and then your laser should slide down on top of this. Now to do this, you need to lift that little lever on the left hand side, slide the laser down, and when you tighten that right back up, and as you can see here, this is normal. The laser does not tighten up all the way, so you need to adjust the screw that tightens the laser. Now to do this, it's pretty easy. You lift your laser up towards the top, or all the way off if it's really, really loose. What you want to do is pull out on the handle. So pull it out to the left. Once you pull it out to the left, you'll be able to actually rotate the little key that's on there. The little lock is splined, so when you lift it up, you can actually tighten it up, and then when you slide it back in, it'll lock down and that tightens up the handle. So you just want to do this until it goes about 3/4 of the way down. You don't want it to go all the way to the bottom, just enough where it tightens your laser to keep it from falling in. Once you get this set to where you want it at, again, you'll notice we keep checking the clearance on everything. Basically, anytime you add something, add a wire, add a harness, check your clearance, make sure your unit travels left, right, forward, backwards, all the way. It's a lot easier to fix now than to try to fix after you're starting a project and the laser gets caught on a wire. Next thing is to put in the SD card. Basically flip your unit over. You'll see on the front of the motherboard a little small insert for the SD card. It doesn't really say insert SD here, but if you know what a micro SD looks like or an SD card is, you'll be able to tell where it goes. And same thing, it only goes in one way. If you try it one way, it doesn't go right in. flip it over, put it in the other way. You saw the stand I had earlier. Basically, I've just got it gridded out, so if I have to take all those pieces out, I can have a nice even piece underneath. I just rigged up the back of it here with a power cord. We're going to replace our old power adapter since that's the one for the X10, and you can see the X20 has a much bigger power supply on it, so make sure you do replace that if you're upgrading. And then once we get it set up on the table here, basically we'll do a test burn on it, make sure everything works fine. I do have the enclosure also for the exhaust, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on next. This is another also great addition, especially if you're going to use it in the garage or somewhere like that. This box simply slides right over the top of it. It has slots on the side of it for your switches, your power cords and everything to go through, and an exhaust port. Luckily for me, my dryer's in my garage. I just put another hole through the wall and put another dryer vent on it and vented it right outside. I'm going to plug in my fan here. I'm also going to upgrade this eventually to an inline fan because I'm going to use the X10 and the X20 at the same time. I'll do a video on that once I do that. I'm going to feed my air line through here. It's already got the hole in there. You don't have to do anything different for it. Go ahead and connect my exhaust to the outside. I'm going to connect the air line to the top. This just slides in. Again, remember, put it through the little metal loop at the top. That'll just keep it from getting bound up on anything. And then it just presses down into that hole underneath of it, and it's got kind of a little grip fitting in there to keep it from popping back up out of there. And one final time, just check all your movement, make sure your hose has enough room to go forward, backwards, left, right, and nothing binds up on it. That's pretty much the basic assembly on it, and as you can see, I just built a little cart out of plywood here, put a laptop underneath of it. I've got an extension cord running inside to a duplex receptacle. So I've got receptacles underneath here to plug in all my units. Then I can just roll the cart around to where I need it at. If I need to move it, plug it in the wall, do what I've got to do, and then I can unplug it and again store the cart if I need to. If you made it this far in the video, please click on like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.